T minus 1 minute. T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Today on Truth Today, we're going to be discussing the divided states of America. That's right, folks. We are a divided nation, and we continue to divide further. We have states now that are targeting parental rights, coming after children. They're coming after homeschoolers, and yet they continue to promote criminals, abortion, perversion. They defend Muslims. All this supposedly in the golden age of America. So we're going to discuss that and much more with my guest, Leo Hohmann, right now on Truth Today. Well, good afternoon, good morning, depending on your time zone. I just want to make sure that we are on here today. We welcome you to Truth Today. This is Pastor Shahram Hadian. So grateful you can join us live. And I just want to encourage you that I am following our live chat. So if you have any comments, questions, would you let us know where you're from? And as always, we ask you to do a couple things for us. Please, if you're on our Rumble right there, here's our Rumble channel. Make sure that you are clicking follow and like. Two things we ask you. Please click follow and click like as we're building up our audience again. And also, we're on Facebook. So if you want to comment on Facebook there, or you can share it, but you can also go to our Rumble page from Facebook and check out all of our content that's on our Rumble channel there. Also, if you want to know more about our ministry, please go to tilministry.com, tilministry.com, and check out our information. By the way, events calendar, I will be coming to Wisconsin, Minnesota here beginning of May, starting May 8th. So we'll have those by the end of the week on our calendar. I think it's going to be like 7 nights, 6 nights, 7 nights, something like that. So please check that out for Wisconsin, Minnesota folks, especially with what's going on in Minnesota right now, what's going on in Texas, what's going on with the Islamic takeover of our nation. This is part of what we continue to try to warn you about. We've been warning this about for a number of years. But the other day, if you guys were watching our show Thursday night, I had my friend Dr. Andy Woods on, and Andy said, you know, Shahram, you came to Texas, you came to Sugar Land years ago to our church. You looked around the area. You said that this is going to be a future enclave. You said this was going to happen. And yet, honestly, I heard it, but I didn't believe you. I didn't think it would actually happen. And here it is now, where Mecca has come to Sugar Land, Texas. They're taking over these areas. And it's real, folks. It's real. And we better wake up soon to what's going on in America. Again, just let us know online that you guys are following us. Yeah, I got the links there. So please comment. Let us know where you're from. Today, my guest is going to be Leo Hohmann. Leo jumped on with us last minute. I'll bring on just in a couple of minutes. But I wanted to just give you a quick Bible teaching this morning, hopefully a verse that is very applicable to what we're talking about. My topic today, and this is something that was on my heart as I was praying about the show today. Literally, I kid you not, this morning, like, I don't know, 3-4 in the morning, I had woken up to use the restroom. You know, as you get older, you have to wake up in the middle of the night, go to the bathroom. And what I felt the Lord put on my heart was this title, that it is, we are now the divided states of America. That instead of calling ourselves the United States of America, we should call ourselves the divided states of America. And we see the government in this country targeting parents, parental rights, children, yet they continue to promote the massacre of children in the womb, abortion, sexual perversion, transgenderism, mutilating our children, and it seems like our government continues to defend Islam and the Islamic takeover. Meanwhile, we continue to go after Christians and homeschoolers and conservatives. And so far, are we seeing a difference? We're seeing a lot of talk from the Trump administration, but I want to see action. I want to see where the states that are doing these things are going to be prosecuted, the government officials, because one of the main stories we're going to be talking about tonight about a family from the state of Massachusetts that it made me so mad. And then Leo texted me this morning this story, and basically he's got the same thing on his heart. Like, that's the Lord, folks. And God is trying to wake us up to understand. And yet most people are right now back asleep because Trump's back in the White House, and we got the golden age of America, which I keep telling people, this is a idol. This whole idea of this golden age of America is an idol. It's not a golden age of America. America needs to repent. And we are the divided states of America. Where do you see a golden age ahead of us with these states? Where do you see when we have states that are going off the cliff, and we have other states like Texas that's supposed to be conservative passing a resolution celebrating Pakistan Day and allowing these massive Islamic mega cities now to be built? And it's all lip service from Abbott, the governor there. They're not going to do anything. They're not going to do anything when billions of dollars are coming into this country from these Islamic nations. You think the Trump administration is going to do anything against the Islamic takeover of America, against the red-green axis? No, because they're bragging about how we have billions of dollars coming in from Qatar, from Saudis, from this country, that country. And the Bible tells us, by the way, it's not the Bible. First of all, Abraham Lincoln, his speech, Illinois Republican State Convention, Springfield, Illinois, June 16, 1858. When he said in his speech regarding the division that was in this nation regarding slavery, he, of course, said this: "In my opinion, it will not cease until a crisis shall have been reached and passed. Quote, a house divided against itself cannot stand. I believe this government cannot endure permanently half slave and half free." And that's what's happening in these states. We now have states where people are under slavery, government tyranny, dictatorship, slavery, and other states that should be free, and yet they're being targeted as well. And of course, this is from our Bible verse today, is from the book of Matthew, chapter 12. When Jesus is dealing with the religious zealots and the religious false leaders. Verse 22, then a demon-possessed man who was blind and mute was brought to Jesus, and Jesus healed the man so that he could speak and see. The crowds were astounded and asked, could this be the son of David? But when the Pharisees, there's the religious elite again, when the Pharisees heard this, they said, only by Beelzebul, the prince of demons, does this man drive out demons. Knowing their thoughts, Jesus said to them, if every kingdom divided against itself will be laid to waste, and every city or household divided against itself will not stand. If Satan drives out Satan, he is divided against himself. How then can his kingdom stand? But if I drive out demons by the Spirit of God, then the kingdom of God has come upon you. So now the concept, obviously, and in to make sure in context, he's talking about this idea that they were accusing him of operating for Satan, when he's saying Satan can't destroy Satan, right? Satan can't cast out his own demons. He has put those demons there. But the principle is applied where Lincoln was saying, look, if we have this great evil in our nation and we're letting it stand, then we're not a United States, we're not a free country, and we are divided. And I would argue that that's exactly what is going on in America now. And with that context, let me bring in my guest, my good friend Leo Hohmann. Again, Leo, welcome to the show. Thank you for being on with me on last sort of late notice today. It was incredible when you texted me this morning, and all night I've been like just ruminating on this particular story. But it wasn't just the one story, because some of our friends had, from back when I lived in the Socialist Republic of Washington, they had sent us some stories about like insane things that the government's doing there, particularly against parental rights. And then you send me this article that I had just seen again in the Gateway Pundit about this family from Massachusetts. And somebody else had on my Facebook post had sent that to me with some other details. But first of all, just comment, if you could, on the intro. Do you agree that it is an idol to be able to talk about this golden age of America? And this is not going to make a lot of friends for you and I, because the moment, like we when Trump when this administration is doing some good things, we should call it out. We should say, hey, these are good things. They're going in the right direction. But when they're not, either not doing things that they should be, now there's backlash against Kash Patel and Bongino at the FBI, because it seems like, I don't know, it seems like that, these guys get in. I don't know what happens to them when they get in there. They're all the freedom fighters when they're on the outside, but they get into the system, they get into the swamp. It's like they start swimming in the how can I say it? In the crap, in the waste. That's the bureaucracy. That's the technocracy. And all of a sudden they start drinking some of it and they start talking like that. But your thoughts on divided states of America, golden age being an idol. And then I want to get into this story.
Yeah, I love the way you framed the whole thing, Shahram, about this supposedly we're living in the midst of a new golden age. If this is what the golden age is going to look like, I don't want any part of it.
Right.
And, I really do believe that this whole broader issue of parental rights is the tip of the spear right now in America by the liberal elites, the globalists, the rhinos, or throw them all in there, right?
Right.
In there together. I feel like this is the issue that they're going to use selectively, right? You know, if a Muslim family comes in and says they don't want their child vaccinated, they might be given a pass, right?
Yep.
But in this case, in Massachusetts, we had a Christian homeschooling family, and they get charged with neglect. The doctor said that there were signs of neglect in their 9-month-old child. Now, what did he mean by that? When you hear that, that sounds horrible. You know, maybe they weren't feeding the child, maybe they were not clothing the child or properly or whatever. But in this case, it was just the child was not up to date on its shots.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And I think this is a classic example. And by the way, I'm very disheartened that this has been going on since February, and I'm just now hearing about it today.
Exactly.
Right. But I think this is a classic example of how the system corrupts the individuals in the system. You know, that they can use the rules as given to them to crack down on certain families. And this family checks all of the boxes of the type of family that, you know, the system wants to punish. And what could be a greater punishment than having your children stolen out from under you? This family did not do a single thing wrong. They did not do anything that you would not only expect, but you would want a loving Christian family to do under these circumstances. They found out after denying the vaccination, said, nope, we're going to take a pass on that. We don't want to shoot our 9-month-old up with, you know, things like the, what's that one shot they give them, Sharam, that's to protect them against sexually transmitted diseases.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Why does a baby need to be protected against sexually transmitted diseases? Okay.
Exactly.
I feel like I know the answer to that. And I actually said it publicly on Brandon's show a couple months ago, and it raised a lot of eyebrows, but a lot of people agree with me that the reason the system requires shots from newborns 6 months old and younger against sexually transmitted diseases is because the system knows that a certain percentage of children are going to be trafficked.
There you go.
For sex.
There you
children.
Go. There you go.
And the people who use and abuse these children don't want to catch a sexually transmitted disease, so they say just shoot them all up with it. And so if we end up taking 1% of all the children into captivity to be used as sex slaves for our evil desires, then we'll be protected. Okay. That's the only logical reason. And I defy anyone to give me another reason why a 6-month-old, a 9-month-old, a newborn should be given such an injection.
Well, the only other thing I can.
So this family did the right thing. They protected their child, and they're portrayed by the doctor and then the media and then the what? Law enforcement apparatus of Massachusetts, including local, state, and federal law enforcement. And federal. They all cooperated in a nationwide manhunt when they found out that this family did the right thing and fled communist Massachusetts for Texas. But guess what? The long arm of the law, which is totally corrupted in this country, obviously, did not protect them in Texas after they got out of the evil state of Massachusetts. The Texas apparatus cooperated with the Massachusetts apparatus and said, yes, we're going to arrest and take into custody this family because they did the right thing and protected their little 9-year-old baby from this evil.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the headline that we're talking about for folks from the Gateway Pundit. Massachusetts couple accused of kidnapping their own 5 children from state custody. So, Leo, I have so many questions right now, but let's just go back a step. You and I talked about, first of all, so the first problem was the doctor, and I'm embarrassed to say this doctor was Iranian. He's an Iranian doctor. He gets mad that they will not vaccinate their children, and threatens them. I think it was on a subsequent visit that if you don't do it right now, I'm going to report you to DCF, Department of Child and Family, I think it is, or Services and Family, whatever. They're in Massachusetts, and we know Massachusetts is a leftist state. So, okay. But he then actually goes through, and once DCF gets involved, and this is always the fear, right? The fear is once DCF gets involved. I remember 2 of my worst calls that I was on as a police officer was when I had to do what's called a standby, where you got to go out according to department policy with, we had CPS, right? So it was Child Protective Services in the state of Washington when I was a police officer. And we had to go out and do a standby. And you're basically trusting. You're basically trusting because all you know is you get to the call and whoever from the department says, we have ample evidence, or we have blah, 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 or we have a judge's order, or we have whatever, that we're going to remove these kids from this home. And it was absolutely devastating to me as a dad watching this. And I didn't want to do it again. It sickened me that I had to participate in that because I didn't know the story. When there was other cases that I had been on where I was the first one there, and we were in a situation where I had discretion. I could look at the facts. I could look at the evidence. But so they show up. Now these parents take their kids and they leave the state and they go to the state of Texas. Here's my question. You said it, Leo. This story is back from February of this year. So I get it. The state of Massachusetts, maybe the local government. This was in Worcester County, I think. This was, I'm trying to remember the city there that the article was talking about. But the feds, it's one thing. Oh, it's Fitchburg. They were located. It's Isiel Rivera, 31, Ruth Encarnacion, 30, were located by Fitchburg police in early March after a multi-state manhunt. But the feds got involved. So I thought the feds were under Trump's control. I thought the feds were under Department of Justice, Pam Bondi. I thought the feds were supposed to be now pro-family, pro-homeschooling, pro-parental rights, no longer going along with this agenda. And you said something really profound earlier, too, before we went on air. This is why, folks, you got to interview and vet your pediatrician, your family doctor, because you got to know that the person you're with is going to share your values. No, doctor, I don't want to be vaccinated. No, doctor, I don't want my children to be vaccinated. No, doctor, I want to, heal my body holistically, and I don't want to be on drug A, drug B, drug C, drug D that then it counteracts. I want to be able to go to a doctor when I say, look, I don't want to take this statin because it's bad for me. I want to heal my body naturally, where the guy's not going to look at me and say, you're this, you're that, but they're going to say, I understand. This is your value. This is your body. Comment on that before we get into some of the other stories, because right now, and let me say this, right now, folks, just understand, nationwide manhunt, they were apprehended in Texas, as Leo said, extradited back to Massachusetts. The father is being held without bail, as if this is that he murdered without bail. How many criminals have we had in our nation that have committed far worse crimes and have gotten bail? And I'll get to the black kid that killed the white kid at the track meet here in a minute. And they're both being charged with 5 counts of interstate kidnapping of their own children, simply because
they charge them with familial abduction. Now, what the heck is familial abduction? How do you abduct your own children when both parents are in agreement?
That's
I get
the
it.
key.
I get it. When there's a divorce, sometimes,
Yes.
one
Yes.
parent violates the custody agreement and they charge them. I get that.
Right.
But how do 2 parents in agreement who've never abused, there's no evidence of any abuse or anything like that, get charged with abducting their own children? Something's wrong with that picture. And if I'm telling you, people, if this story doesn't make your blood boil and give you a wake-up call as to the fact that we do not live in a free country anymore, nothing will. You're hopeless.
Yeah. Leah, look at what's going on in Western Europe. Look at what's going on in the UK, because you have people that are being arrested now for online speech. You have people that are being arrested for simply thinking differently than the government. They say, I disagree with this. 8 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years in prison. So this is what's coming to America. And again, look, we get it. If it's a leftist state, they fled a leftist state to go to a conservative state like Texas. Not only does Texas cooperate, but the feds cooperate. And the feds under Pam Bondi have cooperated. So this should be absolute backlash right now. Calls should be going to the White House. Calls should be going to the Justice Department that they should have never participated with a situation where parents were exercising the parental rights. Because my question is, do I not have the right to say, no, I don't want my 6-month-old to be on, what is it, 68 now, 72? What's the vaccine schedule now?
Between birth and age 17 or 18 is 74 doses of vaccine.
Wow. That's insane.
And I don't believe that even includes the COVID shots. I mean, it's up close to 90, I believe, if you really include everything. But this is the tip of the spear, in my opinion. This is the defining issue of our time, Shahram. Parental authority and the government establishment systematic determination to undermine that authority. Okay. And if parental authority can be negated, the next step is, because that is a facet of your sovereignty. These are my children. This is my family. I can raise them according to my values. If that is no longer the case in America, the next step, if we allow this, the next step is what they are now doing, because that was already undermined in most of these Western European EU countries. If we allow that, the next step is what they're now experiencing in the UK, in Germany, in Belgium, the Netherlands, where you can be arrested for saying something, for an opinion, for putting it out there on Facebook or some other social media platform. If it disagrees, if it's opposing to the overall government media narrative, you can now have a knock at the door and be hauled off in handcuffs to prison. We've seen it over and over again in these countries. You've now lost your personal sovereignty over your own speech. Okay. That's the next step. It is a drive towards a totalitarian society, Shahram.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm getting so excited about this issue that I can't even talk straight. I mean, my throat is constricting. My anxiety is so off the charts right now about this story because number one, it's been hidden from us for 2 months. Okay. We're now in April the 15th. We're in mid-April. This all went down, I think, the last week or two of February.
Yeah, exactly.
The conservative media is not undone about it, or they would have reported on it before now.
Exactly.
And so they're all out there saying we're back and we're in the golden age of America. This is very, very troubling to me.
Exactly.
If Biden were still in office, maybe it wouldn't be as troubling. But the fact that we're sitting here still celebrating in many respects, still, giddy about what happened in November 2024 and how everything's going to turn around and things are in good hands. We're still sliding. The overall trajectory is still the same. It's still on course toward totalitarianism. Some people think it'll be a Muslim totalitarianism. Some people think it'll be a communism totalitarianism. Some people think it'll be a technocratic totalitarianism. But the fact of the matter is, it really doesn't matter if you're living under totalitarianism. If it's a Muslim with his boot on your face, or it's a communist, or it's a technocrat, or maybe it's a combination of all three working together. It really doesn't matter if that boot is on your face, does it?
No, exactly. And when you have the justice, where again, I was saying this dad, here's the story I was talking about with this kid. This is the kid that stabbed the 17-year-old, brought a knife to a track meet. They're trying to make him into some sort of a victim. So they let this kid for murder out on bond, and they reduced his bond from $1 million down to $250,000 so that he can get out. So this 17-year-old can be let out to return back to his parents after murdering. And it wasn't self-defense, because you don't let an argument and then stab somebody in the heart with a knife. This is an unhinged individual.
Totally. And Dr. Thorpe, by the way, was on. He's been on Brandon's show talking about this. He was on Real America's Voice as well, and other doctors. Nick Hulskloff was on Brandon's show last night talking about how these mRNA injections, there's now evidence that they are affecting people's brains and making people do things that are unhinged and not rational. So, that's
an interesting connection.
One big reason why we're seeing so much of this bizarre activity among people.
The increased violence and the tendencies.
Yeah. One of the absolute symptoms were violence, suicidal thoughts, homicidal thoughts, 100%. And just general depression as well.
So with this story, so this kid can go out. According to the article, Leo, the family has raised over $415,000 in donated funds, and apparently now they're talking about they're going to use some of that money to buy another house because they've been under quote racism. It's just ridiculous that nobody is remembering this incredible 17-year-old bright future murdered just over move. You're in the wrong tent. But this is so the justice system lowers the bond, lets this kid out, yet it's going to go after parents because, and I hate this terminology from that article too. It said, well, the doctor is a quote mandatory reporter, but that's mandatory reporting of abuse. Right. You have to, like as a police officer, right? I was a mandatory reporter of abuse. I had to articulate that there is abuse. So they're saying now that if you don't vaccinate your children, you are abusing your children.
Yes.
Is that where we're at now in America? So if I say, no, I don't want to give this particular vaccine or this, or a multiple strand because, and we'll see if RFK comes through with this whole thing of we're going to find the root of autism because everybody knows the root of autism. Everybody knows. Steve Hirsch came out, that guy, the doctor who, you remember, used to be pro-vaccine, and then he became anti-vaccine because of his own experience with the COVID mRNA jabs, and said there's not one case of autism that the child has not been vaccinated. There's not one. So we know the correlation, the 100% correlation between vaccination and autism. I think so. We'll see what happens if they actually, do you actually expect that RFK is going to publish a report sometime in September saying, yes, we found correlative evidence connecting the two, and therefore all these vaccine companies, you guys are all criminally liable, and we're going to come after you for trillions and trillions of dollars? Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah,
so
just like Dr. Fauci's not going to be tried, let alone convicted of anything.
Of anything, exactly. But you're absolutely right. The parental rights are absolutely the tip of the spear. And I think that's probably why you and I had the same reaction yesterday, and when you emailed me, and I knew that I wanted to do the show on this today, because as a parent, this is my worst nightmare.
Yes.
As a parent of 6 kids, as a homeschooling parent, where I homeschool my kids, and we're very vocal, right? You and I, Brandon, we're out there, and we're going to be targets. And okay, I live in Tennessee, and I love to think that my state is conservative. But hello, folks, wake up to reality. None of these state administrations are conservative. None of the Department of Child Protective Services or Social Services are conservative. They are run by the DEI infiltration. They are woke. They are technocrats, as you said, Leo. And I agree with you. It's a combination, because throughout the last number of years, we do not tend to see Muslims targeted. I said that to you in my text back to you. We didn't see Muslim targeted during COVID. They didn't shut down any mosques. They didn't go after the Muslims, but they went after the Jews. They went after the Christians, particularly the Christians. And we don't hear where you see Muslim families and the government going after them, saying, oh, because of your religious objections. And that's what they did, by the way. Just to understand, the parents in this case in Massachusetts cited their religious exemption. They said that it is for religious reasons that we do not. It wasn't even a medical argument. It was for religious,
sincerely held religious beliefs. Right. That is, I believe, the exact verbiage in the Massachusetts law, that parents have a right to exemptions for sincerely held religious beliefs. Now, some states are starting to even do away with that. I believe there's like maybe New York and maybe there's 2 or 3
Washington,
states.
California, yeah.
Washington, have they actually passed that, or are they
have
proposing it?
I'm just going to read this to you. This was actually just yesterday. This is the Washington State Vax mandate. Here you go. Alert. House Bill 1531 has passed both the Washington State House and Senate, is now heading to Governor Bob Ferguson's desk for signature. This bill is not just dangerous, it's the most aggressive and extreme law of its kind in the United States. No other state has gone this far. Washington is about to become the national testing ground for government overreach. If signed.
Okay, stop right there.
Yeah.
If this bill is signed into law, actually before it's signed into law, parents, all Christian parents, of which there's got to be tens of thousands at least in Washington State, need to let it be known that they will not comply. It needs to be publicly.
Yes.
Put your neck on the line.
There you go.
On the chopping block right now, parents in Washington State, and say publicly, we will not comply. And if they pass it, and if the governor signs it anyway, then you need to keep that promise, but you also need to make plans to move out of that state if you want to keep your children and not go to jail. Now, if all the Christian parents, or even 50% of them did this, I guarantee this law will not be enforced, because they can't put 50% of all Christian parents in jail. I doubt they could put 10% of them in jail. They don't have the jail space.
Yeah.
But knowing what I know about Christianity in this country,
there you go. That's where
I
I was
doubt
going
that's
with it.
going to happen.
There you go.
I doubt that 10% even of Christian families in Washington state will say publicly, we refuse to comply. We will be like the Russians who refused to comply with the Communist Party. They called them refusedniks. Okay?
Yeah.
Because not even 10% of the parents will do that in Washington state, it'll be more like 1%. And you can throw, if it's 1 or 2%, you can actually enforce things and put them in jail if they don't comply. And because of that, my advice to all parents, Christian parents who still believe that their children are theirs and not wards of the state, get the heck out of that state. I'm serious. I don't care if you have to take a loss on your house, sell it and get out of that state.
That's it.
Because are your children not worth taking a loss? What are your children worth to you? That's the question.
Well, Leo, for years and ultimately, you know, during COVID, we knew where things were going, right? We knew where things were going. You and I would talk at length about where things were going. And so that is one of the reasons why we felt the Lord gave us the window to get out of Washington in 2020, because we knew the mandates were coming. Now, of course, we believed that God was also calling us to the state of Tennessee, but we got Tennessee, and we're now having to fight things here locally.
Oh yeah.
But let me just.
There, you are so right, Sharam. There is not a single Republican state in the country right now that has a bureaucracy in place that will not implement this kind of thing.
Exactly.
They're all, you know, they're all one degree or another of zealous about it, but they will all do it.
They will all do it. And in this case, when one state like this is sort of the forerunner, because here's what it says. This will give unelected public health officials, because the bill was under the context of dealing with, quote, the emergency. So it wasn't bad enough what they did during COVID. They want to go further. It said, and so using that under it's the context of public health emergencies that they now are saying that public health officials have total authority to enforce mandates, including vaccines, restrictions, and more, while wiping out completely religious, medical, and even philosophical exemptions.
Wow.
So Washington is now completely, if this bill gets signed, they have complete. Now in 2019, they had a bill that had, we back then we called it kind of like it was attacking the philosophical religious exemptions. But during COVID, there were people in Washington state that were able to effectively use religious exemptions to not lose their jobs. In fact, our religious exemption letter on our website helped a bunch of families in Washington state who were able to successfully use it. So
I know a guy who works at Boeing in Seattle.
Yeah,
and he got a religious exemption.
They did, but now this bill, and they're saying that now, of course, the argument is this is wholly and completely unconstitutional and violates the First Amendment. But you know, like, where has that ever stopped anybody?
Right.
This now completely wipes it out, but under the guise of medical emergencies. And so it's not just, you know, the public, you know, firefighters, teachers, police, that kind of stuff. But schools will have no choice but to comply with mandates, even if it harms students and families. Private businesses will be forced to enforce, and parents will lose their autonomy. This goes along with the fact that Washington state is moving further and further to try to criminalize parents who, quote, misgender their children. I mean, can you imagine, as a parent, my kid comes home and all of a sudden says, I feel like a he, she, or a it, or a whatever. And now if I say, no, son, you're a boy, no, daughter, you're a girl, the school can now come after me, the government can. So we're heading, so you're right. Parental rights is the tip of the spear of whether we live in a free country, like what happened in Ireland to the homeschooling teacher that misgendered, right? They took his bank account, they arrested him.
Yep.
He's now coming to the US. But what? Hold on, time out. You're coming to the U.S. and you get this kind of crap.
This
Garbage.
This is a Nazi system that they are implementing in the West. They call themselves democracies, and that they say they're defending our democracy. Whenever you hear any politician say we're defending our democracy, that is more than likely a Nazi politician. He's using that as cover for his totalitarian policies. And you hear that saying like it's become a mantra among the Nazi fascist government officials, both elected and appointed. We're defending our democracy. And they don't, at the same time, they're what? Banning opposition parties that don't agree with their agenda. Like in France, and they arrested the head of the Conservative Party there. They've done the same thing in Romania, where Georgescu, Calin Georgescu, is a Trump-like type candidate in Romania. He won the preliminary elections in December. He was up in the polls for the final election this spring. What did they do? They canceled the elections and they arrested him. Okay? This is in a NATO country, a supposed democracy.
Yeah.
And the reason they arrested him and canceled elections is they said they were defending their democracy. Okay? You can't make this up, Sharam. These are this is nothing but a disguised, reemergent Nazi agenda that never completely died after World War II. They funneled these Nazis into all the Western countries under Operation Paperclip type operations. We took thousands of them just here in America. And they infiltrated our universities, our law enforcement, our business boardrooms. They infused all of these. They infused all of our institutions, Sharam, with their Nazi principles and values. Even though they don't call themselves Nazi anymore, in fact, they say they're fighting that sort of thing, right?
Right.
They're anti-fascists, right?
Right.
But in fact, they are what they say they are fighting against. They are the enemy that they say they hate. And so it's a very clever satanic deception. It's an inversion, okay?
Yeah.
Everything that is good, they say is evil. God created us as man or as male or female. No, we can't trust God anymore.
Right.
Okay. The Nazi agenda is not atheistic so much as it is at war with God. Atheists are not as dangerous as Nazis. Atheists say there is no God. There's very few actual pure atheists around. If you examine someone's values, you will very quickly find out what their God is. And for these Nazis, it is the will to power, to lord their power over other people, sometimes in outrageous and outlandish ways.
Yeah.
Even so far as to say that you can't claim your newborn son as a boy. It's up to the child to define what gender they want to be. Who could even make up such an evil thing? Only a Nazi.
Right. Only
Only a Nazi. Even the Muslims and the communists, in the old line communists, would never say such a thing.
Yeah.
And so they're just testing who will comply with this outrageous statement. They know it's not true. They know when a child is born a certain gender, that's what the gender is. But they're testing who will go along with their lording over of power. They actually on purpose choose the most outrageous things, I believe, to see who will join them in lockstep just because they're the ones in authority. They're the ones in positions of power. Who's going to follow my power? I won't know unless I tell them to do something that their own common sense and conscience tells them is ridiculous. So if I give them the most ridiculous order I can think of and then I see who will comply with it.
Right.
I know who is still a free thinker, a critical thinker, who still believes in their God and puts God above me and my human power. That's what they're after. This is all a spiritual war. They're trying to find out who will answer to them And who will answer to the Most High God?
There you go.
That's what it's all about. And
There
the
you go.
most efficient way to do that, and Nazis are all about efficiency.
Yeah.
The most easy, quick, and efficient way to find out who lines up with you and your power and who lines up with another higher power is to give them the most outrageous dictate you can think of and see who will comply.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And as you said earlier, sadly, and we saw this during COVID.
That's what COVID was all about.
That's what COVID was all about. Exactly.
It was a beta test for the new Nazi world order.
Exactly. And like you said, the Muslims are going along with it. They're working together, but yet they seem to, that right now, these Western globalists, like you said, these Nazis, National Socialists, all these people that are the true fascists, they're giving the Muslims a pass. They're letting the Muslims take over the West, take over America, and yet they have to destroy Christianity. They have to destroy. Yes.
That's why I believe they give the Muslims a pass.
Exactly.
Not because they agree with much of anything they really stand for.
Right.
Other than they know that they could come in handy at some point when they need someone to do the dirty work.
Yeah. Yeah. And where Islam takes over, exactly, where Islam takes over, we know that it will, it is the greatest opposition to Christianity, to the advancement of the gospel. And what we saw during COVID was that, like you said, we didn't get 10%, we didn't get 5%, we got maybe 1%. And the 1% of us who stood up were easily able to be identified, segregated, were able to be labeled as crazy,
and as
unhinged, and then punished. And where are right now, like you said, this story, February till now, where are the homeschooling communities? Where are are the voices? Where are the pastors? Where are those, I should say, parental rights of parents that are now, again, if there was legitimate evidence of neglect, if there was legitimate evidence of abuse, if there was legitimate evidence, we can have a different conversation. But when we know this all started because I, as a parent, and I know friends who, this is why with our children, Leo, we did not want to have hospital births, because you go into a hospital and you deliver a baby and they're going to want to vaccinate that baby.
Right.
And they think they have control over that baby because it's in the hospital. Now you're fighting them. And
midwives are so important.
Exactly. Midwives are so important so that we have, again, if you guys are listening to this and you have a family, or you yourself or children who are of childbearing age and they're going to have children, I want to encourage you, prayerfully consider them to go with a midwife, and then vet those midwives, vet your physician, vet your pediatrician, ask them those tough questions ahead of time, because we did that with our dentist. We did that with our primary care. We've done it with our pediatrician, and there's good ones out there. There's good ones out there that are holistic, that are, willing to say, we respect and honor your choices, your parental rights, your decision, because we're not going to treat you as a criminal because you don't want to vaccinate and shove these mRNA death shots that have all sorts of side effects. We're running out of time.
Even the non-mRNA shots have these.
Exactly.
They're causing autism. Yes.
Exactly. So we are at a really critical point that has been frustrating for me, Leo, because, and I know for you too, because this is the hour of non-compliance. Everybody now thinks that because Trump is in office and we're talking about this golden age, and don't even get me started with Paula White and who's advising him as far as the faith office there. We think that we're going to see some sort of a reprieve. And yet, as you said, the Nazis, the fascists, the totalitarianism, those who are part of this beast system that the Bible has told us about, they're not stopping. They're not taking a break. They're not taking a vacation. And they're going to come after us. They're going to come after those who they know are the ones. It's like in Europe right now, they're trying to destroy any opposition to the Islamic takeover of Western Europe that then plays into the hands of the technocrats and the totalitarian regime. And they're doing the same thing here. And where is the opposition in Washington State? Where is the opposition? By the way, one more little tidbit for Washington State people that you're out there. At the same time, the Senate Democrats just passed House Bill 1163, which now requires that the state issue a permit for anybody to buy a firearm. Not to carry a firearm, but to buy a firearm.
There you go.
So at the same time that they're destroying your parental rights and your right to defend your freedoms and your family, because I've always said, if there was a moment that I'm going to get in a shootout with the government, it's going to be over my children. If there was ever a moment that would be the line in the sand, it's over them taking my children. And now what do? We're going to take away your ability to buy a firearm, and we, the government, are going to have to approve every firearm sale now. And so obviously that's unconstitutional. Obviously the other one is unconstitutional, but is there going to be justice? We'll see. But it is up to you and I, folks. It's up to our families, and as moms and dads and as grandparents and as church members and our churches. This is the moment. I agree with Leo. This is the tip of the spear. And one more time, we are divided states of America. Please don't tell me that there's some golden age when you got these states butchering babies up to birth, past birth, the neutering of, or the sexual destruction of children with all this trans surgery, just demonic. And yeah, go ahead.
Michael Yon, who's a great investigative reporter, writes a lot about the immigration issue. He's been on Brandon's show a couple of times over the last couple of months, saying 3 months or so, actually, saying that the one way to know if this new administration is serious will be if they kick the United Nations out of this country. If you don't see that, folks, and so far we haven't even heard them talk about that, to my knowledge, they've gotten us out of the WHO and the Paris Climate Accords. But the tip of the spear, if that's who you think is the enemy, and I think you would be right if you said that it is, then why wouldn't you go for the root of it, which is the United Nations? Yeah. The Paris Climate Accords and the WHO, World Health Organization, those are just sub-agencies of the United Nations. So if you think the WHO is evil and we shouldn't be a member of it, why would you keep us in the United Nations? Okay? And so largely what we're seeing is a lot of show, not a lot of action. If they're serious, and I'm not going to be too judgmental since we're not even quite 3 months into the new administration yet, but it doesn't look good so far, Shahram, I have to say. Right. I'm seeing more showboatism and showboating and saying how great we are and about a new talk about a new golden age before it's apparently arrived. Yeah. Anyone can pronounce that we've entered some new utopian age, but show me the goods. Yeah. Show me. Don't tell me. What's that? The show me state? I think it's is it what state is it? New Jersey or I don't know.
Show me state is, let's see here. It'll come up in a minute.
Yeah. I agree with them. Or at least whoever came up with that years ago. Talk is cheap. Talk is cheap. Very, very cheap. And sometimes the biggest talkers are the most successful. But they can also be the biggest. What state?
Is Missouri, apparently.
Missouri, that's Missouri. It, yes.
Yeah, the show me state. Yeah.
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 And that served them pretty well in that state. They have problems there too, but anyway, I'm done with listening to the politicians say about how great everything is.
Exactly. And that's why I said from the very beginning, and I've said it since I heard this phraseology, that in my opinion, the phraseology of we're in the golden age is an idol. It is a spiritual idol. It is taking our eyes off of the Lord. It is taking our eyes off of the times that we are in. And I'm not even saying that everybody has to believe in Bible prophecy and understanding those things. Right. But if you claim that this is a Christian nation and you claim that we're gonna stand on those principles, well, first of all, Texas is like ground zero now for as I said. Andy was on my program because he texted me last week. He said, well, it's right in my backyard now. you warned us. And here it is in Sugar Land, Texas. They brought Mecca to Sugar Land, Texas, and they're taking over, So, but the government, the state is now going after our children. And wasn't it in Israel, Leo? I've always argued from the Old Testament that God, the most angry that God got with Israel was when they began to sacrifice their children on the altar of whatever, Molech, convenience. And we know that with abortion. We know that with abortion. But now they've gone, okay, we can't kill your children in the womb, so we're going to destroy your children by giving them 70 whatever shots. Or we're going to give them this gender ideology. Or we're going to confuse them. Or we're going to indoctrinate them. And oh, by the way, we, the state, control your children. We, the state, are going to give, like in Washington State, where they're trying to give children autonomy at 9 years old to make their own decisions, destroying parental rights.
Oh, and in California, they want to allow 16-year-olds to vote.
So this is the moment of insanity. The Christians going along. I don't care. Again, I get it. Like you said, let's give Trump time. Okay, fine. You want to do that. But this story, February, this happened in Massachusetts. And now April, we're hearing about it. Where has it been for 2 months? Where have been the headlines? None of us heard about the story. I heard about it yesterday. Yesterday was the first day that I heard about the story that's been going on. And right now, according to the article, Leo, it's the Texas Child Protective Services that have the kids. They're still in Texas.
Wow.
And so the parents are back in Massachusetts. The kids are in another state in Texas.
Wow.
Can you imagine being those parents away from and what was the ages? It was like 10, 9, 5, 4. And of course, the 9-month-old, that was how this all started. Why, first of all, wouldn't they just take the 9-month-old and say, we're going to leave the rest of the kids with the parents? Because if the argument is over, and I'm not even saying that's right. I'm just saying what right do you have to the other kids? What right do you have? Because now they've declared, listen, this is a precedent, folks. Yeah. This is a precedent. Now they've declared, if this stands, that if you are a family that are crunchy, that are holistic, that believe in the autonomy over our bodies, because this is the temple of the Holy Spirit, and my children have been given to me by God, I'm supposed to instruct them, train them, raise them up in the ways of the Lord. And now the state is setting a precedent. The government is setting a precedent. If you do not vaccinate your children, as we tell you, we get control over your entire family. We can come in and take over your whole family. Wow. This ought to be a 10-point earthquake in America.
Yes, I agree.
I don't.
Hey, you've seen me. You've interviewed me. You've seen me interviewed. I don't get this worked up about much.
No. But so we got to share the story, folks. We got to contact right now. If you guys want to do something, contact the government of Texas. Contact the Justice Department. Bring this story to light. Somebody's got to get this before Trump. Either they know or they don't know. But This is it. This is a line in the sand. And we've seen too many of these stories that have happened where these government bureaucrats think they have ultimate power to come and take our children. And like you said, there's been custody issues, and that's a whole different situation. This is simply because I refuse to shoot up my child with these unknown death shots. I refuse. And now I am a wanted criminal that is denied bail when murderers and rapists and all these other people are getting scot-free. They're not charged with anything, and they get out on bail. We do not have a free country. We are a divided country. Last words for you, Leo.
Agree 100%. Thank you for allowing me to speak on this topic today, Sharam. I hope to have time to write about it today, but I've got another interview that was just called into me by Brandon coming up in less than an hour. I feel overwhelmed, but we press on. Please go to my Substack and help me out if you feel so led.
Right here, folks.
Thank you. Yeah. And, I've got 17,000 followers on there, but I only have like less than 300 paid subscribers. So if you can, I don't want to withhold information from people. That's why I want everyone to have access to the information. So I don't make it a paid only site. You can get it all for free, but I do need some support. So if you want to keep me going, consider a paid subscription. I think it's $7 a month or $80 for a year.
Yeah.
I know some people can't swing that right now, and so just sign up for a free subscription. I appreciate it, and share it with other people.
Amen. But if you can, folks, support Leo, support this platform, because it is these platforms that are going to tell you the truth, that are going to stand, and we got to support them. We got to be there for them. Brother, thank you so much. Thanks for jumping on with me last moment.
Thank you for addressing this.
Well, this was a God thing. This was a God thing, as I said, because I was up all night thinking about this and could not sleep very well last night. And then you text me, and this was a God moment. And we got to make sure we have attention to this. So God bless you, brother. Thank you so much. And we'll keep following this story, and we'll keep following these stories, because I agree with you. This is the tip of the spear. They're coming after our kids.
Yes.
Folks, listen. They're coming after our kids.
I remember writing in 2020 about this exact. I think I had a headline on one article. They're coming for your kids. That was during the COVID beta test. Okay.
That's it.
Now that is proving to have been very accurate, because they're not relenting. They're taking it to the next level.
Absolutely. So this is the moment, folks. This is the line in the sand. This is when all you social justice warrior Christians out there that are willing to sacrifice your children to the altar of your social justice, because, we got to love the culture. We got to love the culture while your children are being destroyed by this culture. Shame on you. Shame on you that you say that I'm a Christian and I want to love the culture, and I'm putting my kids in public school because they're going to be, Susie or Bobby is going to be a salt and light. No.
Oh, and did you see Andy Stanley's church in Atlanta was caught red-handed doing a webinar teaching pastors to go along with this insanity of allowing minor children, in this case, one was as young as 5 years old, that they gave the example of, allowing these children to decide what gender they want to be. I kid you not, this is from an evangelical church, big church in Atlanta, founded by
false teacher.
Pastor Stan.
Yes. False teacher Andy Stanley. Exactly right. False teacher Andy Stanley. This audience knows that I've been calling out Andy Stanley for years, and that's the latest one. I had not heard that one.
Yes.
That they're now saying this. They're going unhinged. The church, the false church, is being exposed in America, folks. It's being exposed in the world in these last days, folks. We are not in the kingdom. This is not the kingdom of God. Things are not getting better. That's why this golden age language is an idol. We got to stand righteously and understand the battle is real.
Agreed. I mean, the rationale that the church gave, I forget the name of it. Is it North Point Community Church?
North Point. Yeah, North Point. Yeah.
The rationale they gave was that every other institution is recognizing these children as the gender that they say they are, and recognizing them as their preferred pronouns and their new name and everything. So we, the church, didn't want to be the last one not recognizing that child's desire to be known as the opposite of what God made him. So can you believe that being the rationale? They didn't even try. They didn't even try to give a biblical rationale for what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Because they're not following the Bible. These are false teachers. These are false churches, and they're deceiving millions and millions. Woe to Andy Stanley when he's got to stand before God one day as a supposed pastor. Woe to this man. God will judge accordingly. But yeah, these are false teachers, false churches, false gospel. And they're the ones, as you said, you just proved the point that I was making. They're throwing their children on the altar of this sick society, all in the guise of love. And it is demonic and disgusting and evil. And they're coming after our kids. And the churches are allowing it, as you just pointed out. So, folks, we got to fight.
Allowing it and encouraging it now.
Yes, exactly. Sick. We'll cover that more. Brother, thank you so much. God bless you. Say hi to Brandon when you get on there. And we'll have you back soon. And we're going to keep following this stuff because this better wake us up. Thank you so much, folks. Make sure, again, you go to leohohmann.substack.com. Support his work. Subscribe. Come on. You can afford $7 a month to keep him going. Thank you so much, brother. God bless you.
Thank you.
Sharon. All right. Sorry, I cut him off there. I apologize. I clicked on a little too soon. Folks, thanks for being with us on today on the program. Listen, this is incredible days we're living in. And this has fired me up. I'm telling you, folks, this has fired me up. We are divided and we are not at peace. This is exactly like the false prophets in the Old Testament that kept saying to the people, peace, peace, peace be upon you. We're not at peace. When this stuff is happening in our land, we are not at peace with God. So we need to repent. We need to pray. We need to stand. So pray for us. Pray for Leo. Pray for these people that are standing on these issues. And of course, if you want to support our ministry, you can make a one-time donation there. Just go to right there, tillmanministry.com/donate, tillmanministry.com/donate, and you can donate there one time. We are, as Leo said, it has been very tough first half of the year for these ministries. Very tough for us as well. We're several $1,000s in the hole right now for this month. So if the Lord lays it on your heart to support this ministry, you can, again, donate there. You can either mail in a check to our P.O. box or make an online donation. We'd be just so grateful. We're so thankful for all of you, for our Gideon army of 300, those who are supporting this ministry on a monthly basis. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. We just thank the Lord for you. May the Lord bless you for that. But if you would prayerfully consider a one-time donation this month to keep us going, as I said, it's several $1,000s that we are short because it's just been tough. It's a tough time. The doors are definitely shut in some aspects. God is hopefully going to open some new doors. We're praying for that. But thank you guys for your prayers and for your support. Of course, visit our website again, check out our events calendar, all those things. And I want to point out one last thing. There's some of you know that one of the ways you can support our ministry is through our Thrive page, the righteousthrive.thrivelife.com. If you want to get the best freeze-dried food on the market, build up your emergency supplies, and cook with it on a daily basis. It is amazing food. But I want to let you know that this month they have their spring sale. And their spring sale They have phenomenal sales right now, up to 50% off retail on a lot of their items. You see there on the screen there, lots of different sales in April, but their spring sale is, instead of 30%, it's 50% off a lot of their items. And it is the best stuff out there. We've been with them. And if you purchase stuff, 10% comes back to support the ministry. 10% comes back to support the ministry if you purchase stuff. The best way to do it, as what our family does, is we do the monthly plan where it's $100 a month that we spend on food. And if we spend a minimum of $100 a month on food, and we just budget it. We just budget it from our grocery budget. We're building up our emergency supplies, and we're building up, and we cook with it all the time. It's incredible food. The $100 then gets you wholesale pricing and free shipping. And that, listen, by the time you pay wholesale and free shipping, you've made up the $100. So that's the better way to do it. But again, check out their spring sale right now. And here is the site again. It's the righteousthrive.thrivelife.com. All right. Well, God bless you guys. Thank you for being with us today on the program. I pray that was a wake-up call of where we're at, folks, where we're at. And we are not right now to be at ease. We are not at peace. We got to stand vigilantly and pray. Pray for this administration. Pray for the churches. Pray for Christian leaders. Pray for families, parents to rise up. We will not comply to this evil. We are not going to hand our children over to this demonic spirit in our land. Period. 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 God bless you guys. This is Pastor Shahram Hadian saying, have a blessed day. We will see you Thursday night with our guest live in studio, Lord willing. Have a blessed rest of your week.